Good morning, everyone. Right, I just want to explain something because I'm not quite sure, and from what I understand, some people are not sure when they're making a flower like I made yesterday, how much of the material to use. Now, somebody wanted to see the back of the flower. I'm going to need to put a little disc on here. All right, so you can see that. So I'm just going to put a little felt disc on there shortly, and then that's my flower finished. But it's how to get the look. What look are you going to get? Now, I'm just going to run through some of the fabrics, some of the materials. If you want to get that type of a look, see how deep that is, lots of gather, lots of flounce, I call that a flounce, then you need something like a tulle or something soft that is already gathered. Now, this particular one is double, and all you need to do is to, if you've got a sewing machine and you've got a foot that'll gather, a gathering foot, you just run the material, cut a strip, run the material down the middle, and it will gather that for you like that. And then you just fold that in half, so that doubles it again, and you get a beautiful, beautiful flounce. Now I'm going to show you how to do that, making your own. And first of all, I'm going to use a wide ribbon, which is 1.5 inches wide. Now, I don't have a gathering foot, but I can do that myself. And I'm just going to fold over the end to make it neat. Lay that in the middle. Check I've got the right tension and stitching. See, yep, that's straight. Wind the needle in by hand, do a couple of stitches back and forth, and then you need to start and you ruche it up together. So I'm just going to do so many little ruches to start with, like that. Ruche that up and just take your needle over the edge, like that, and then keep ruching that up. I mean, this can be used as is as well. You don't have to, you know, make a flower from it or anything. You can just use it as it is. So you're just pulling the material up together, making sure you've got it level, and then stitch through like that. So we're just pulling the material up, gathering it up like that. I'm going to show you what I've done. See, oops, get my thread out. And I've already, I mean, it's not perfect at all because I haven't, sorry. I should have put another little gather in there, which I can go back and do that. And I've got a ruched ribbon there. And then if I want to make that into a flower, I just fold that over like that. And then when I'm doing my little flower, I just hand stitch it across, a little running stitch, and all together you will see I've got a ruched flower like that. So you can do it using that material, using ribbon, but I'm going to use the tool and make my own. Now, why am I telling you this when you can buy it in the store? Well, because buy it in the store if you don't have a machine or you don't sew, and make it if you can. So I've just cut a piece of 6-inch wide tulle. I'm going to again fold it down so it's got a little tiny fold in it. Pull out the threads at the back. Let me just do this. It's underneath, silly old. Oops. There we go. Pull the threads out. So I'm just going to take another long strip of this, because you need to gather it up to about 6-7 inches. So I would say a metre. A metre of the material would do exactly what you need it to do. Okie dokie, get that in the middle again. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can cut this to your own size. There we go. Right, so got that, gather, 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 thread that underneath the foot like that, and hold your needle in. Gather, gather, gather. Use your thumbs to gather it up. Drop the needle down. Again, keep dropping the needle down so it holds the material. Drop the needle down, back stitch it and go forward again. And then pull that out. Look how much gather I've now got in that. And all I have to do is to fold that in half, and I'm going to end up with a fantastic flower. So what I'm going to try and do now is, if my machine will do it, I'm not sure, I need it on the widest stitch, which is D. Let's just see if it'll work. And I'm just going to take off all the excess string, sorry, thread, from both ends, so I don't want that catching up in the machine. Fold my material in half that I've gathered, so I'm folding it on the actual stitching that I've done, and drop that back into your machine, sorry, near the edge. You want it near the edge. A hand sew in. Don't go back and forth because you need to pull it. I'm going to make this into a flower, and instead of me hand stitching it, I'm going to use the machine to make the work. To do the work for me. So just follow the line I've made, pull all your trimmings down. See, there's the line that I've done, that I stitched on originally, and I'm just going to the side of that. You do have to be careful that you don't go over it. I'm just going to make it a lot easier for myself to do my flower. Now we don't run it back and forth. You don't need to do that because we need that open. So I'm now just going to turn off the machine and drop that down onto the floor a minute so I can show you what I've done. So I've put my running stitch in, which is what I would do if I was hand stitching it, and hopefully if it's worked, let me just check it, see what I'm doing. Yeah, hopefully you take hold of one end of the string and gently pull that and gather it more. I'm going to do it with the other end as well. What I'm doing is I'm taking hold of the thread that I left, and I'm just going to gather that even more. Just pull it carefully, and you see how it's got my flower. Now what I'm going to do is take the two ends, and I can find them. Because remember, I'm not stitching this now. I'm not stitching it into a flower. I'm just pulling it and making it a flower myself. So just get all 4 threads, and then we tie them in a knot like so, and just pull gently. Try and use a nylon thread for your sewing machine. A cotton one can break, but try and use a nylon thread. They are a lot stronger. So I've done that. Now I'm just going to cut that off like so, and that's given me, take that out, my flower with a beautiful, beautiful flounce in it. Now it's huge, isn't it? But the point is, I can now cut that down to size if I want to. So, or I can add a layer of this one if I want to, and then add something else to it, and I can end up making a very, very large flower. But what I'm saying is, you can make your own. This is a soft tool, and for me to gather it and get it the size I want, fold it all down, get hold of the middle like that. And now I'm just going to cut. So I can actually make this into a flower. And there you go. I've got a nice size flower. But obviously I should have used, really, to me, for my liking, I would have used a little bit more of, more than a metre to make one of these. I would have probably used 2 and got a really, see, this is thin here and this isn't. And I like this section. Don't know if you can see that. If I hold it like that for you. This is a lot more frillier than this. So I would have definitely used 2 meters of the tool, and it's the 6-inch tool. So just use that. Like I say, you're not wasting that much. That can always go in as stuffing somewhere or something like that. Don't waste it. I've made the flower, and I could, if I wanted to. Oh yeah, I might do that actually. And look, I've now added that to my flower to make it even more shabby, and I will glue that on and add a felt back into it. But yeah, isn't that pretty? And lots of flounce. Now, if I was to do that same thing, if I wanted that same look but I didn't have that fabric or lace, you could get something similar using a flat lace. Now, if you use, the softer the lace and the thinner it is, the more you would need to use if it was flat. So, like I said, with this one yesterday, I used 7 inches to make that gorgeous flower. If I was to use that particular lace to get that gathered look, I would need a good 18 inches. So a very soft lace, like a tulle or an organza, and it's flat, no gather in it, you would need to gather it, but you would need a good 18 inches. When I use this particular one to make flowers, I use 18 inches and gather it all up, use it all. If you got a gathered lace that is not too gathered, but it's got a little bit of a flounce in it, as you can see, look, a little bit wavy, there's not much of a gather in that, then I would use a good 14 inches of that. You need a good 14 inches. If it's soft and you've not got much of a gather in it, then about 14 inches to get a really good flounce of a flower. Again, this is our Nottingham lace, which is slightly gathered more than that one. And I would use, again, between 12 and 14 inches of that to get a really good flounce on your flower. A flat lace, again, you'd need a good 18 inches to make a really good gather. If you had something like thicker, the cotton like the eyelet trim that is slightly gathered, again, I would only use 12 inches. 12 inches will give you a really good flounced flower. So, cottons and thicker materials, use less. Round about, I wouldn't use anything less than 12 inches unless it was a tulle that was gathered like that. This one, flat one, soft, you need about 18 inches. A slightly gathered one, between 12 and 14 inches. And again, between about 14 inches for that one that's slightly gathered. But anything that's really soft and thin, a good 18 inches. And you get a fantastic flounce on the flower. So I just thought I'd share that with you because it is difficult to gauge. Oh, and while I'm on, please remember, go and have a look at the shop page, the important page. I've put it up about the shipping and the postage and the parcels from Christmas onwards. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.